if we're looking for a third guy on these videos, I think we know where to start. We wouldn't even have to change the name. I think it's Michael Carter. Just keep it going.
Keep it going. If anyone knows Michael Carter and wants to wants to put us in contact with him, just hit us up in the comment section down below. But no, in all seriousness, let's get right into this video, Mike. So Michael Carter, interesting prospect. I think we both agree on that front. Obviously, split carries and split touches in general with Javonte Williams, a guy who we've already done a video on. Click the link above our heads if you haven't seen that video yet. But no, they were only one touch apart across the entire season. There weren't any injuries. There wasn't anything. It was just a complete 50-50 timeshare. So with him, I think one of the premier questions that we should be asking is, Mike, do you think that he could become a feature back in the NFL, or do you think that he's going to be kind of relegated to this gadgety player type role, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it's funny because if you just look at play style and the way North Carolina used him, it wasn't in a very gadgety way. He really didn't, he wasn't really receiving from the backfield a ton. Like he's only 25 receptions for the year. It's nothing crazy. Not a lot of outside sweeps or anything like that where they're just trying to get him an open space. A lot of it was between the tackles. So it's kind of funny you just look at his size, you'd think so. And even I wouldn't say for him running between the tackles a lot. I don't think he showed tons of power. Like Williams, that was the big, conversation point we had was you could see the power behind Williams, but that's not the case for Michael Carter. What really sticks out is his vision. So I guess that can work. Where he's going to be drafted, he's probably not going to be a number one option right off the bat. So I think if he can, I think starting off in that gadget role, I think it'll work great for a team, but I think he could develop into that premier back. But at least off the start, no, I think he's probably going to be used as a gadget. And I think a lot of the skills he shows, I think it actually might be a really nice role for him in the team he ends up with.
No, I agree with that, definitely. I think size, you kind of brought it up a little bit there, 5'8", 199, so a little bit on the shorter side, but I thought he filled out his frame pretty well, and he definitely wasn't laying hits into guys, but he wasn't necessarily getting blown backwards either. He was still kind of falling forward. They did use him on the goal line actually a decent little bit there, which kind of surprised me considering you have a guy like Javonte on the sidelines there. But no, I think you put that really well. He'll probably start out in another timeshare with a team that needs more of a speed type back, but I do think that there is some potential there, some especially big play potential because as I'm sure you noticed, and this is how my grade breaks down. I thought that just his straight line speed and acceleration was off the charts, and then his agility was fantastic as well. He was one of the best guys that I've seen so far in terms of just going 0 to 100 in terms of just getting upfield, and he's not even with most of these agile guys, they're more east and west type runners, but I think kind of with that between the tackles style, he was more north and south. And that's what I think I kind of liked about him. That's why I think that, like you said, he could develop into a feature back role if that potentially makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I'd be interested to see like what his 40 time or his like 10-yard split is, because that's where he really makes his money. He finds a gap, he finds his hole, and he just bursts through it. And it was very clear. That's kind of what I said, the vision, but the speed and acceleration, he makes, once he finds where he's running, it's just straight speed. I wouldn't say he makes a lot of moves in that position. He just, he's putting his feet to the grass and making it through. I think his size helps with that kind of running style. I think not being a bigger back, I think that probably helps his lower center of gravity. Something that also stuck out was his balance. I think it should be maybe a little bit higher than you have graded. I think his balance really showed in some of the film we watched, but no, I'm totally with you. I think that really does. That's the thing that probably sticks out the most on tape.
Yeah, I would say the vision, like you said, he always seemed like he was 1 to 2 steps ahead. Like, as I'm seeing stuff develop at the kind of second and third level, you can kind of see that he's seeing it as well. And I really like that, obviously. Agility, like you said, maybe not a ton of east and west moves, but really efficient. And I think that is in part a lot due to his kind of smaller, lower center of gravity. And I do think overall that he does project pretty well at the next level. So with that being said, as we've done, kind of comparing him to the other backs in the class. Obviously, to this point, I have him graded as the RB4. Mike, how do you think he compares? I know we talked about during the Najee Harris video. Is Najee going to be number 3, or do we think he's potentially further back than that? What are your thoughts on the Carter versus Najee? Do you have Carter ahead of Najee or Najee ahead of Carter? What's the deal here?
I think it's really close. And I know before we started filming this, I told you I'd probably take Carter over Najee. But taking a look back at it, it's really dependent, especially when you start getting into those late third, fourth round running backs. And they could always fall more than that. It seems like running backs always, there's a couple that kind of just fall a little farther than you thought. I think it's all depending on really what kind of style of running back you're looking for. If you're really looking for that third and short, get some more carries in the red zone, then I'm probably leaning Najee Harris. But if I'm looking for that gadget style, dynamic playmaker, I think that's the best way to explain it. Like if you're looking for big plays, if he finds open space, he's going to utilize it to the best of its ability. Then I'm taking Michael Carter. But if I'm looking for a bruiser, then I lean Najee. But I think they're very close, like it just in overall grades. But their running styles themselves are not in comparison, so it's hard. But I think having those really close grades, they fall right in the same place for me. It's a little bit different flavor.
No, I completely agree with that. I think that an interesting comparison actually would be going back a step and saying him versus Kenneth Gainwell, because I do think that their running styles are kind of similar, more so than say Najee's. But I do think that he all around is probably just a better back than Gainwell. Obviously, the grades are pretty tight there. I do think Kenneth's more in that middle to late third round, whereas I wouldn't have a problem with a team taking Michael Carter in the early third, maybe even late second. In all honesty, the only question is kind of the same thing we asked during the Javonte Williams video is, how do you feel about him being in the same system with another incredibly effective back? Could you attribute it to the offense, the scheme, the offensive line, etc.? So if you have some of those concerns, maybe you don't go with Michael Carter or Javonte Williams. But if you, I think if you do put on the tape, you'll see that these guys are making a lot more plays than you would expect them to make, and that's why I think Mike and I are both pretty high on each of them here. And that being said, Mike, is that all you got, or are we out of here?
I think that's all I got. So I think we mic'd up and we mic'ing out. Deuces.
Peace, guys.